What is currently happening, programs? Today I'm going to cover off how you can go to hell and play the original Doom and Doom 2 games in VR, plus their Doom engine spawnlings, Heretic and Hexen, with motion controller support for left and right-handed players and these cool 3D voxel weapons. Plus I'll also show you how to get the brutal Doom mod working in VR for extra carnage and gore to really paint the town red. So if you want to know how to shoot the guts out of 2D sprites in a truly 3D world, then stay locked, enjoy, and I hope it helps. So that you know what you're in for, I'm going to kick off with some gameplay of these little slices of heaven while I run you through info about these mods and the different options you have at your mercy. If you don't care about any of that, then just check the timestamp in the description of this video to skip ahead to the install and menu settings guide section of this video. So what can these devilishly powerful mods get you in exchange for your soul? First of all, these are the full original Doom 1 and 2 games in VR, as well as Heretic and Hexen, which were built using the same Doom engine that built the original games. They all work great in VR right out of the digital box and have full motion controller support so you can take aim and set the underworld ablaze. Doom 1 and 2 and Heretic also have voxel weapons available, which are these cool pixely 3D weapon models, as opposed to these flat weapon models and sprites that come with the mod. And then there's the brutal Doom mod, which turns this
pew, 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 pew
into this. In Brutal Doom, barrels explode more, enemies explode more, and even their corpses explode more. Or you can just, fatally cripple them with bullet wounds and watch them bleed out all over the slab. Then just, you fucking looking at me? And all this retro virtual reality goodness is brought to you by the GZ Doom mod, with Fishbiter adding motion controller support and including the voxel weapon packs made by Chal and Mitka. So now that you know what's what, let's go through the install section to get these games working in VR, and then some menu tweaks so they perform the best for your headset. First, hit the Windows key on your keyboard and type folder. Hit enter, and in the File Explorer options, click on the View tab and make sure this Hide Extensions for Known File Types box is unticked, and click OK. This will make sure you can see all the .dot extensions on the end of your files. With that done, now you need some game files. To get those, just check the link in the description of this video, and depending on which game you want to play in VR, buy that game on Steam. At this point, they're super cheap, and on sale they cost almost nothing. If you want to play Doom 1 and 2 or Brutal Doom in VR, then you'll need either Ultimate Doom for Doom 1, Doom 2 for Doom 2, or the Classic Complete Collection, which includes both of those and more. Alternatively, you can grab the Doom 3 BFG edition, as that includes the game files for Doom 1 and 2 as well. And it also means you can play Doom 3 in VR thanks to the VR mod I covered in this video here, which, if you're a Doom fan and you haven't checked that out, I'd highly recommend you give it a go. For Hexen and Heretic, you can either buy the game separately or pick all of them up with their expansion packs in the Hexen and Heretic collection. Once you have the game or games that you want to play in VR added to your Steam library, you'll need to download the VR mods. So check the links in the description of this video and grab Fishbiter's controller mod by clicking the link there. And when that page loads up, go ahead and grab the GZ Doom Open VR zip file at the top here and download that to your PC's desktop. It doesn't really matter where you download this file to, as long as it's not a protective drive or folder. And for that reason, I wouldn't recommend downloading this to your program files folders or your system drive. I suggest just placing it on your desktop and you won't have any issues. Once that's downloaded, extract the file to your desktop and save it for later, as this is the file that will get all these games running in VR. Note that this also also includes the voxel weapon packs I mentioned earlier for Doom, Doom 2, and Heretic. If you also want to play Brutal Doom in VR, go back to the description of the video and click this Brutal Doom link here. Then grab the latest Brutal Doom mod, which at the time of this video was uploaded on the 17th of December 2018, and you can see the one before that was back in November. So click on the latest one, scroll down a little, and click this download now button. Wait a moment for the download to start, and if it doesn't start, then click this link here. And if that doesn't work, then click the mirror link and download the mod from one of these other sources. Once you have that zip file downloaded to your PC, extract it using WinZip or 7-zip, and you can actually delete the original zip file now, as you won't need that anymore. And finally, if you are using the Brutal Doom mod, go back to the description of this video and grab the Brutal Doom bat file I created from my Google Drive, which will act as a simple launcher for the Brutal Doom mod. Once you have all those files downloaded, you'll need to copy the Doom, Heretic, and Hexen game files, depending on which game you want to play in VR, over into the GZ Doom OpenVR mod folder you downloaded earlier. And the easiest way to do that is to open up the GZ Doom OpenVR mod folder, then open up Steam, find the game in your library, whether that be Doom, Doom 2, Heretic, or Hexen. As you can see here, I own the Doom 3 BFG edition, which includes the Doom 1 and 2 game files as well. I'll right click on that, go to Properties, Local Files, and browse local files to be taken to the Steam game installation folder. In here, you'll need to locate the .wad files for each game you want to play in VR, which is super easy. You just need to go into the base folder and then into the WADs folder, and in here you'll see the WAD game files you need. If you want to play Doom, Doom 2, or Brutal Doom in VR, then grab these two WAD files by selecting them, right click, and copy them to your clipboard. Then over in the GZ Doom OpenVR mod folder, just paste those files in here. For Heretic and Hexen, go back to the Steam installs folder, and in the common folder, go into either the Heretic or Hexen folders, depending on which one you own. And again, hit up the base folder to locate the WAD game file you need, and just copy that file from here and paste it into the GZ Doom OpenVR mod folder, just like you did the other ones. And that's it for those games. If you also want to try your hand at playing the Brutal Doom mod for extra in-game Doom violence and chaos, just go into the Brutal Doom mod folder you downloaded earlier and copy the Brutal Doom PK3 file from there over into the GZ Doom OpenVR mod folder. And finally, drag the Brutal Doom bat file I created into that GZ Doom OpenVR mod folder as well. And that's it for the mod files. Now, the very first thing you want to do is start Steam VR. Rift owners, you should have Oculus Home open first, then start up Steam and click the Steam VR button up here. Now go back to the GZ Doom OpenVR mod folder, and to launch Doom 1 or 2 in VR, double click the OpenVR Doom.bat file. If you want to launch Heretic in VR, double click this OpenVR Heretic.bat file instead. If you want to launch Brutal Doom, then double click the Brutal Doom.bat file. And if you want to launch Hexen in VR, double click this GZ Doom executable. Once you have double clicked your chosen file, you'll see this menu pop up here, and all you have to do is put your VR headset on your head and pick the game you want to play from this list and click launch. For example, if you double click the Doom or Brutal Doom bat file, then pick Doom 1 or 2 from this list. If you click the Heretic bat file, pick Heretic from this list. And if you click the GZ Doom launcher to play Hexen in VR, then click Hexen in this list and click launch. There are other ways to do this, but this way always works and didn't crash Steam VR like some of the other methods. So stick to that and you'll be fine. If you want, of course, you can create a shortcut to these files and place them on your desktop for easy access. Just don't move this GZ Doom mod folder after you've done that. As a quick side note here, sometimes you'll have to wait 20 seconds or so for the mod to start up the first time that you launch it, so be patient. Also, if you don't want to use the voxel weapon models in Doom 1 or 2 or Heretic, then you can simply move or delete this weapons4vr.pk3 file before you launch the game, and you'll have the option in VR to pick one of the original weapon models instead. And finally, if you don't get any sound in VR, go to the description of this video and download the No Sound Fix DLL file from there, and once you have it on your PC, drag it into the GZ Doom mod folder and replace the file when asked. Now let's take a look at some quick in-game menu tweaks to get these mods working their best in VR for your headset. And the first thing to note is that the right analog stick or thumb pad goes up and down the menus one click, while the left stick or touchpad for some reason goes two at a time. I'll also put the controller layout in the description of this video, but it's all easy enough to figure out, and while it did seem a little weird to start with, once I got used to it, the buttons were fine. Once you're sussed on the controls, go into the options menu, into the VR options, and if you are playing Hexen in VR, you'll need to set the weapon mode to either sprite only or crossed to get the weapons showing up in your hand. Brutal Doom users, you can set this to whatever type of weapon model you prefer, and as an example, here is the crossed weapon, sprite only, item only, and the fat item. Me, I find the cross weapon is the best one visually. For Doom, Doom 2 or Heretic, you won't need to do that as you'll have the voxel weapons already loaded up. Unless of course you remove the weapons PK3 file from the GZ Doom mod folder earlier, in which case you can choose your own weapon model instead. Rift owners, you'll also need to set the weapon angle to -33 to line your weapon up in your hand correctly. Of course you can experiment with your own values here. This is just the one that I found worked best for me. Vive users won't need to do this as the weapons are already lined up with the Vive wands. And if you're a lefty, then set this handedness option to left. In this menu, you can also set your preferred movement option, the world scale, and your height in game. There are also a ton of other menu options you can play with, but I found the other default values to work great. Just be aware that the right grip button on the Rift touch controller, and this may be the same on the Vive ones, that lets you back out of menus, also changes your selection before you exit that menu. You can see here, if I set this to sprite only and then back out using the right controller and go back into that menu, it's no longer set to sprite only. To avoid this and make sure your selection stays where you want it, use the back button on the left controller at all times instead. And as a final note, when you want to quit out because the big bad demon sprites have gotten too much for you and you need some quiet time alone, poor baby, or if you get motion sick, when you get to this screen, you actually have to hit the Y key on your keyboard to quit out. If you exit out any other way, it may stuff up all your controller settings. So if you do exit out any other way and things get screwy, first try restarting Steam VR by exiting out of it here and then restarting it up here in the Steam interface. Or if things get really whack, go into the mod folder, take your WAD files out, delete that mod folder, and then re-extract the mod files from the GZ Doom OpenVR zip file you downloaded earlier. Go back into that folder and copy the WAD files back in here and start again. In saying all that, if you don't fuck with anything, the defaults should be good to go. And with all that done, you'll now be ready to kill 2D demons in 3D, and what doesn't sound great about that? And that's it for this tutorial. You can help support this channel by grabbing exclusive rewards on Patreon, and if you like this video, then crush that like button, have your say in the comments below, and hit the XO logo to subscribe if you wanna. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!